What kind of permits and authorizations processes do we have to follow to install a CHP plant in Alberta?
Yeah, so in Alberta there are several. First you have a development permit, which is in other parts of Canada as a site plan amendment or site plan permit. And so that looks at what you're trying to do with the project, site servicing, things like that. And then that leads into a building permit, which is looking at the structures and the code compliance of your building. So those go hand in hand, the site plan or the development permit and then the building permit. And then the big really difficult one to get often is the electrical interconnect permit. So that's with your local electrical utility. That's to make sure they have the right protections in place and they can protect your generation and their grid when you connect. So that's a lengthy process that should be started early, and you need good technical help, and you need to work with your utility because it might be new for them. So that's key, is the electrical interconnect approval. Tied to that, in Alberta, you need an Alberta Utilities Commission approval as well if you're going to export power. So that's also important to be mindful of. Then you also need an air and noise and groundwater approval. That's with the Ministry of Environment and Parks here in Alberta. So that's looking at all the emissions from your system. So air emissions, noise emissions, and then any groundwater impacts that your project will have. And then there are some other more ancillary permits with respect to, can you get enough gas? So that's a dialogue with the gas utility. And then the boiler approval, if you're making steam or if you're making high pressure hot water, there's a ABSA permit that you need. And then electrically, there are some other permits as well. So that kind of covers the big permits that you need to have for an Alberta-based CHP.
So do you want to share with us an example of a successful story?
Sure. In the south of Alberta, just outside of Lethbridge, on the east side of Lethbridge, several years ago, we were involved in a very neat, cool project. It has two 1.4 megawatt Yembacher biogas engines. So they take a lot of agricultural byproducts from that part of Alberta, and they take dead stock from the farms, and they take animal residues, and they process that all in a digester, an anaerobic digester, and then that produces biogas that they burn in these engines. So that's a 2.8 megawatt project, and it went through all these permits and more. They got a grant, several grants, and so those grants came with kind of their own permits. So it took 4, 5, 6 years to develop that project. It was a very special project, but the permitting and the financing and everything there was a lot of work to develop it, but now it's been running for 3 or 4 years very successfully.